Hey everyone, this is Reeve Stimpson, pop rock artist out of Nashville, Tennessee. Zach and I just got done recording an episode talking about some of my favorite 80s movies and some of his. Watched an awesome movie called Winners Take All, and we'll get into that, but hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Between the tan lines and the tattoos, all the boys that want you, everybody's looking your way. A heat wave when you walk by, play it cool, I gotta try, keep my intention at bay. But who am I kidding? You're making me weak. To be with you, I'd give anything. I'd let you wreck my life, little by little, break my heart right down the middle. Ooh, baby, baby, can't you see? You can bet that I'd let you walk all over me.
Okay, today I'm so stoked because we have Reeve Stimpson on the show. And Reeve and I were, before we went online and recorded, we were corresponding back and forth. Gosh, I want to say almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
And Reeve was like this new artist. Hey, man, I got this new music. I'm wondering if you'd check it out, blah, blah, blah. And I did. And I was like, this guy's really good. And I started listening to it over and over again. And then I thought, I got to get him on the show and talk about his love of the 80s. Probably one of the youngest guests we've ever had on our show because I'm assuming you're not a child of the 80s or 90s for that matter, maybe. But Reeve, it is an honor, dude, to have you on the show and talk everything 80s in your career.
Thank you so much. All right, well, I have to dispel the rumor first, and I'll take this as a big compliment. I was born in '94, so I do get. I'm luckily I'm able to not truly look a little bit older yet, so that kind of helps me in my pop sound. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's really cool to be on here, and I'm slowly building up like my VHS collection, so it'll be good to talk back and forth on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, Reeve, for those that are listening to this and not watching this, go on over to our $2 late fee YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button while you're at it and check out Reeve's wall because Reeve has like it is visually intoxicating what's going on behind you. And the fact that, yeah, you're a 90s kid. Actually, I had a guest right before you named Ollie Ride. He's also a singer, songwriter, musician, and he's 89 was when he was born. So, cut you guys some slack.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I know Ollie.
Oh, cool.
Ollie is buddies with a friend of mine named Josh Daly, and Josh
Yeah.
also does. He's with I think it was FM 84 was the group, but
Right.
he is Josh is going to be actually producing some songs for me. He lives in Nashville now, but he's going to be producing some songs for me coming up for this album that I'm putting out. But yeah, Ollie's a good dude. I've talked to him on Instagram as well, and it's so funny. I very rarely found anybody in the modern 80s kind of sound that is American yet. Ollie's
Agreed.
British, and so is Josh. And apparently, over in the UK, there's some sort of revamp of that love of the modern retro kind of sound. So,
There's a lot of love for 80s nostalgia over in the UK. Thankfully, there is. Bands like the Midnight, FM 84, Night Driver, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's a vibe there. And when you popped on the scene, I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I've really heard many artists that stand out to me, solo artists, besides Ollie Ride, that capture that 80s vibe in the States like you do. And Reeve, man, Reeve came out with this music video. It's called Over Me, and I'll play clips of it. I actually intro the show to Over Me, and I'll play it throughout. You capture in 2020, well, you probably shot that in like 2023 or 2024, but you capture the 80s vibe so well. Dude, how did you get your start in the music industry?
I moved to Nashville in 2016. I went to Belmont University to get a degree in songwriting, mostly because I moved out here to write country music.
Okay.
So I started writing country. My goal is still, while I'm doing this as an artist career, to write country for other artists because a lot of the songwriting that people don't really realize this is kind of what I'm trying to separate myself from as far as like a modern 80s thing. A lot of people kind of rely on the sound of modern 80s to make you feel a certain way or evoke emotion of like that 80s feel. But I like to remind people that there was a specific songwriting style. You know, Eddie Money was singing about this while John Mellencamp was singing about that. There's a whole range of 80s.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I noticed was a lot of country songwriting, especially in the 80s and 90s, was really inspired a lot by 80s pop, a lot of 80s pop rock too, and a lot of bands that are kind of adjacent to country were, like 38 Special. I spent a good amount of time writing country. I put out a couple of songs that actually were country. And then it's funny, I'm from a small town in Virginia, and I thought that the things I was singing about were very authentic to me, but I wasn't going to be able to pass them off very well without a Southern accent.
Hmm.
So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go 100% authentic as to what I'm doing, which is my love of retro music. And I don't feel like I've seen a lot of good examples of like a solo male performer doing anything in the bringing back a pop sound or a pop rock sound from the 80s.
Yeah.
I found a couple guys that do something similar, but I think that I've kind of found a little bit of a different lane. Um, my influences are not so much super synthy, but mine are more along the lines of Bryan Adams and Huey Lewis, guys who have songs that you just want to sing back.
Yeah, you have a very you have a strong love for Huey Lewis, Daryl Hall, and Oates, and if you go to Reeve's Instagram page, you can see a lot of his videos, or go to his YouTube and subscribe to his channel too, by the way.
Thank you.
Go to his channel and you can see like he's shot some videos with that similar background, and it's just so intoxicating. You know, you brought up a lot of artists that I personally love. I will throw in there, if you've never heard Benjamin Orr's solo record that he did from the Cars, it is phenomenal. It's called The Lace, I
No.
believe. Um, and it is one of my all-time favorite 80s records. Benjamin Orr's solo record he did. It is phenomenal. Highly recommend it. And you're
Yeah, I'll
right.
listen right after this. Yeah.
Yeah, please do. You've captured a vibe. I was describing it to my wife the other day. She's like, "Well, how would you describe Reeve's sound?" And I'm like, one part country, one part pop, one part 80s nostalgia, throw it all in a blender, and that's what you got. And it's a really beautiful sound, man. Like, I'm a big fan of this group called The Night Game. Well, he's really a solo artist, but he's got a interesting sound as well. Not sure if he's really doing much music anymore, but when he came on the scene, I was like, yeah, that guy sounds really cool and it's got a good vibe to it. And then you come out and I'm like, this is summertime music. You hit on John Mellencamp, and not all of John Mellencamp's music fits in that category, but there is a vibe about John Mellencamp that was the cassette you put in the player at the pool or at the beach when you're just feeling good.
Right.
And that's the vibe you have with your music. I love it. Again, and I will say this many times throughout the show. I put links to Reeve's music in the show notes. You can check out what he's doing right now. And yes, before we went online, Reeve's like, "Well, I have an album coming out in the fall. That's the projected date." So, can you talk a little bit about that album that's coming out?
Yes, so I've got four songs that are already out: One Night Stand, Here in Heaven, Back to the Future, and Over Me. All of those kind of hit on a very different vibes. The next six songs, maybe four that I'm working with my current producer, Micah, out of Florida. And then the next two will be with my producer in Nashville, Josh Daly, who I mentioned before.
Yeah.
So there's going to be I'm narrowing them down right now. There's a good amount of references I've got the screen up here. Some of them I want to keep them all up tempo. I want to keep them all happy because I do feel like even in the synth pop community, there's a lot of, it's almost like it's kind of this trope of feeling like you're in the sad guy in a Ryan Gosling movie. And I like to remind people that kind of music can be fun just for the sake of being fun music, which is kind of what I discovered with Over Me is that so many people like just a song that you can have on in the background and kind of just bob your head to. So going forward off this album, there's going to be more of that similar sound. There's going to be some Duran Duran influence, some Wham
Oh,
influence.
cool.
Yeah, I've got some stuff from Huey and from Bryan Adams, all those kind of influences, and trying to also merge it with what I'm hearing in a lot of modern pop. Um, there's some of the artists that I really love right now that are kind of hitting on that. Sabrina Carpenter is doing a really good job with that,
Oh yeah.
and so is Chapel Roan. So it's cool to take modern influences and old stuff and kind of find that mesh. Because I think if you stay too close in one lane, you can be kind of considered overly nostalgic. And
Right.
I don't want that because eventually the 80s fans are going to find something else.
And then suddenly you're this cover band and you're doing 80s covers, which there's nothing wrong with that. I personally love to
Exactly.
do 80s
Yeah,
covers.
if that's your goal, then more power to you. But that's not, I'm trying to evolve from there. So each album that I'm working on is kind of having a different goal. This first one is, I kind of like to, I was just explaining to someone the other day, I like to think of them as far as colors. So this one will be very teal. It's gonna be very
Ooh,
happy,
yeah.
and that's gonna be the very theme of it. And I've got goals for the next one to maybe be like an action hero kind of theme.
Nice. Yeah.
Um, so a little bit more rock influence, Def Leppard kind of stuff. But that's the good thing about 80s is that I can pull from a pool of influences and still be considered 80s. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're again hitting on things that are striking a chord with me because you you talk about Def Leppard at the tail end of the show. We always do like little fun facts from the year, the movie we're going to talk about, Winners Take All at the end, the year that movie came out and the month that this episode drops in, which is August. And just really quickly, because I mentioned it before on the show, Hysteria came out in August of '87, I believe, and it was the longest rock album ever up until that point.
oh
And
wow,
that was the big tagline was like, this is more music than you're ever gonna get on a cassette or album, or whatever. So Hysteria is a great album. But
totally.
you are a 90s kid. However, your heart is obviously in the 80s, and judging by the background on your wall. And again, I'll remind people, go check out the YouTube channel to see what is going on with Reeve's wall because it is amazing. Are you Your wall has like Risky Business and Top Gun, and you've got Cocktail, Huey Lewis Sports, Some Kind of Wonderful, Lost Boys. Those are all favorites of yours. Do you have any other favorite 80s movies that you love that are not featured on your wall?
Yes. So, one of my favorites, I've got that cocktail poster, or that cocktail album, and I've actually got a cocktail poster. Um,
Nice.
I think that anything Tom Cruise did in the 80s is pretty perfect to me.
Agreed. Yeah.
So The Flamingo Kid is actually one of my favorite 80s movies.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Matt Dillon delivers a performance unlike anything he's done previously. 17 magazine. 2 thumbs up. Very funny. At the movies.
Welcome to the old flamingo, Jeffrey!
An absolute charmer.
Hi.
The perfect gift. Us magazine. The Flamingo Kid is by far the best and funniest work yet done by Matt Dillon, the New York Times. The Flamingo Kid, rated PG-13. Now playing at a selected theater near you.
I was on vacation with my family in the Outer Banks when I was like maybe 14 or 15, and we found a VHS of that just in the place we were staying. And my mom was like, "Have you ever seen this movie? This is a great movie." And I've got it on VHS now. Oh.
Nice.
But this is my parents found this for my birthday, and I opened it. I had to watch it, but they found it wrapped, and like the sealed version, and it's one of my favorites because my dad, even though his last name is Stimpson, his biological name before he was adopted name was Jeffrey Willis.
Okay.
So that's the character that Matt Dillon plays in the movie. So he always like had a connection to that, and
Wow.
my mom loved the movie, and I think it's just one of those ones that it kind of gets passed over so much, but it's such a great. This is actually kind of what I watched this so many times to inspire me for the music video for Over Me. It's just anything 80s beach is pretty perfect.
Is Janet Jones in that one, or is it who's the female actress in that? I know she's a blonde
So
lady.
let me see. They say Jessica Walter, but
Okay, okay.
I'm not sure if she's the older woman in the movie. I know that there's the mom that probably got some sort of a credit before she did. I'll
Yes.
have to look that up. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hector Elizondo is
Yep.
in that for 80s lovers. He's been in a ton of things, and yeah, yeah. Jessica Walter is from oh God, Arrested Development. That
Yeah,
was
the mom in Arrested Development.
oh
Yeah.
my God, and Richard Crunt, Gary Marshall. Yeah, Janet Jones is in that movie. I'm looking it up right now just to
Okay.
confirm because this is where my mind goes. I get stuck on something. I'm like, I can do it without looking it up on IMDb. That's like the tagline to the show. Before IMDb, there was $2 late fee, and we jokingly say we don't have to look anything up typically, but you're looking at a cast of like 80s who's in there with Fisher Stevens,
Yep.
who was in a great movie called My science project, which if you haven't seen, you should watch my science project. It's a lot of fun.
Is it like weird science adjacent or
Well, it's the same year that Weird Science and Real Genius came out. So
okay?
there was like it was like the summer of science movies. And my science project is about two high school kids who are stuck in auto shop all the time, and they go to the junkyard and they find like a device there, and it turns out to be a time machine, and chaos ensues. So it's got dinosaurs and cool cars, and Fisher Stevens is like a he's kind of a punk kid, but it's a great um, character piece for him, because a lot of people remember him from Short Circuit, where he's playing someone of Middle Eastern descent, even though he's a white guy.
Right.
So it's a little problematic. But in this, he's not. And I mean, you've got Bronson Pinchot in Flamingo Kid and Leon. If you guys don't know who Leon is, he goes by one name because he's such a badass. He really is. He's been in so many great movies. Anyways, Flamingo Kid, clearly an influence for your Over Me music video.
Yes.
I could pretend that I'm all so strong, but I wouldn't care if you would lead me on. I'd let you wreck my life, little by little, break my heart right down the middle. Ooh, baby, baby, can't you see? You can bet that I'll let you walk all over me.
You mentioned another one of my favorites, actually. Real Genius is
Oh, yeah.
totally one of my favorites. Val Kilmer. I just learned recently. So, do you know the TV show Psych?
Yes, I do.
So, James Roday apparently he based his character off of Val Kilmer's character in Real Genius.
Chris Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, which totally makes sense because as a kid growing up, I was like, Psych was one of my favorite shows, and that was one of my favorite movies. And looking back, I'm like, now I know exactly where the root of all my sarcastic behavior comes from. Those characters, like that I tried to embody.
Well, if my co-host Dustin was here right now, he would be giving me so much shit because I've never watched an episode of Psych, even though I'm fully familiar with it. And he's like, "You do realize there's like every episode is an 80s reference." And I go, "Yeah,
Yep.
I know, and everyone's killing me to watch it. I will watch it probably now because you mentioned it." And the soundtrack, and this is not the first time I brought up the soundtrack on Real Genius on the show. The soundtrack for Real Genius is phenomenal.
Totally. Yep.
Score is great by Thomas Newman. There's a rumor that it may be put out as a vinyl soundtrack because that soundtrack was never available. It never came out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. As shocking as that is, probably because there's so many top 40 type songs on there, from Don Henley to Tears for Fears to Bryan Adams, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera. Yeah, Real Genius is phenomenal and good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be your next music video. You could recreate, going down in the elevator where he goes in the mine shafts or something. And
I'm always looking for ideas to combine because like with Over Me, I didn't want it to be just one thing where we just made a reference to other ones, to one specific thing. But I think my goal with Over Me, which we kind of really make work, was make a cohesive story while
Yeah.
also showing different references and inspirations. And that Real Genius is such a great one too. If we don't do that, we at least have to have like an exploding house with popcorn or something.
yeah, or you could do a tanning invitational in the gymnasium and put a pool in there, but that's a whole other thing. So,
I'll just say that was your idea, and I'll run with it. Yeah.
yeah, this older guy. Never mind. And put my science project on your list of movies
I
to watch.
definitely will. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
There may be an interview with someone from that movie coming up pretty soon. I want to talk about, first of all, Over Me you have a great making of video on your YouTube channel as well, which shows all the ins and outs of that, which is really cool. I encourage people to go check that out. But Back to the Future, your song.
But I'm stuck in the present, living in the past. It's tough letting go of what we had, running out of time. Don't know what to do to get back to the future that I saw for me and you.
it's so well written because it's such a great love song. Like I get it. From the minute that hook hits you, you're like, "Oh yeah. Like this is what it is like to, you know, feel something for somebody, but you're like stuck in the past, but you want to go into the future." Can you talk a little bit about that song?
Yeah, I can. That's one of my favorite turn of phrase songs that I've written. Um,
I love it too. It's great.
Thank you. I think that kind of came from country because country music has probably the most amount of turn of phrases. Like for those of you that don't know, like when you when you see a title and it kind of gives you an impression that it could be one thing. So oh, it's about going back to something, and then it's about something almost completely different. You're like, oh, okay, it's a little turns it on its head. But so I was at the time I wrote that I was out of a marriage.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. And I was I was combining things that I was feeling then with past relationships, and I don't like to just use one relationship in a song, because I feel like I don't want to attach it to any one particular person. So I was
Yeah.
taking stuff from people that I dated in the past, and I had a line that I had written that didn't make the song because it just became something different. The line that I had was we used to smile when we saw babies because we both thought that maybe we'd have one of our own.
Mm.
And I was thinking, there's so many things that you just plan and you're like, yeah, that'll happen. And then you don't, the inevitability doesn't happen. And so you're kind of just left with all these, like, I think I've said it before, it was like false memories. It's like
Yeah.
things that never happened, but you're like, ah, man, that could have happened. So it's kind of like a what could have been, but just wishing to go back to that point where you don't have to worry about the what could have beens.
Dude, you're triggering those memories because we've all been there. We've all had those moments in our life. I have a young son now and he's still into playing with Dungeons and Dragons and watching cartoons and whatnot. So I'm in the safe spot right now, but there will come a time where he becomes, older and he gets interested in other things and that'll be at a whole other conversation. But if you can tell your former self back in the day, it's going to be okay, man. It's going to be all good. You're going to get through this. You're going to have many relationships. You're going to move on.
Yeah.
There's going to be those beautiful moments where you're writing each other's names down or she writes your last name. Oh, I wonder what my name would look like with your last name attached to it. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And then it crashes and burns and you're like, I'm never going to get over that, but you do, you know.
Yeah, a lot of times it gets better, like in this case.
Right. Yeah, totally.
The the funny thing about Back to the Future is that I kind of use that same formula for the song One Night Stand, which is I've heard a lot of girls sing about this kind of thing, but I haven't heard a lot of guys say, you know what? I wouldn't mind if you just stayed over tonight. Like I also don't want to just make this a one night thing. Like come over and let's do a little bit more than this. Let's actually maybe try to go on a real date. Let's not have a one night thing.
If you're coming over, stay for the night. And don't you let that kiss when you go be a kiss goodbye. I start overthinking when you're holding my hand. 'Cause there's only so many one nights that I can't stand.
I've seen so many women say that out loud, and a lot of guys I know think that. And I was like, you know what? I need to put that into a song too. And I think from a perspective that you haven't heard of yet, even if it's the same message, I still feel like has a good place as a song.
Oh, totally agree. And I think, I mean, this songs, movies, television, it all has that power, right? It has that power to influence people. Uh, that I literally will hear a song and it will take me back to being on my BMX bike, riding down the street, listening to it with my headphones on. It like triggers that instant memory. And so, and the music will influence your behavior. So, dudes are hearing that and being like, yeah, no, that's okay, or they're in a car with a girl or whatever, but it's all good. Like I love that you're setting this tone with your music. We live in an influential age. We always have, but I think it's more so now than it ever has been, where literally something comes out and people are like, oh, I want to do that. So your songs are hitting at a really good time. We need more songs like this. We need more positivity and uplifting and love, like and hopefulness.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot. I'm a person that I feel very grateful for all the things that I've had happen so far, not only just my career, but just in my life. And I think that it would kind of I've gotten to a point now where it's like it'd be a disservice to not put out some stuff that yeah, I love and I think are great songs to me, but are also just positive and like my girlfriend and I are big into we love volunteering and stuff. So
Great.
we get the opportunity to do that. Just so we volunteer with Special Olympics and just working with athletes and seeing how happy you are just giving someone the time of day. I was like, I can't not put this in music, and it's almost hard to write something depressing sometimes because I'm very rarely there.
Like, it's funny how you look at somebody like Phil Collins, they say his peak career was when he was at his lowest point,
Yeah,
and I would love it when I hear the opposite of that. Your peak career is when you're just your gratitude is shining, you know?
totally. I think that a lot of people hold on to that too. Like a lot of artists that a lot of people that I know that are writers, I think kind of historically look to it's almost like a Hemingway curse. They're like, well, Hemingway
Yes.
was drunk when he was doing this and be on drugs and stuff. Well, yeah, but he's the exception. He's not the rule. Like there are so many great artists that were doing things the right way and not doing all the things that had to influence them. Sure, that can be a thing, but it's like you don't have to hold on to that also to be a good artist.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. So the intention is to have your record done with relatively soon. By the time this actually drops, it'll be even closer. Is there also a tour planned as well? Because you did do a couple shows recently, right? And
I did. Yes, we did a showcase in Nashville for a live performance called Whiskey Jam,
cool.
and that was a great experience. It was awesome to have the full band. We had sax player come in with us. Tim Greamy was his name, fantastic sax player in Nashville, and the whole band was really just perfect for what we needed. Like Chris on the keys was amazing. Jack Devine, for anybody who wants to find like a guy who could basically be the next Eddie Van Halen, this guy is fantastic.
Wow.
He's just a phenomenal performer too. And everybody had great stage presence. So we do plan on having shows after this album. What I'd like to do is have a showcase for the album release. The goal for this is really to play some shows and then use this album and the videos to kind of highlight the opportunity to be on any sort of an opening slot that we can get.
Yeah.
I was just say from that point, kind of like hopefully continually just get on better opening slots. Yeah.
Well, let's see an opening and a headliner. Ollie, I've seen many times at the Troubadour, and I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like a Troubadour is a perfect place for you to play out here in LA. So I look forward to seeing you on that stage, and you'd be like, "Hey, there's Zach. All right, cool."
Totally. No, that'd be an amazing thing. I think that's on definitely my bucket list of places to play. I mean, obviously just the historical aspect of the place in
Oh
general.
yeah. Yeah, it's a landmark for sure. And you mentioned you have sax and there yes, you do have saxophone in your music and it's glorious, glorious, glorious. You behind you have a Lost Boys poster and I think of Tim Capello from Lost
Yep.
Boys, Sexy Sax Man. There is no one else like him. There never will be. For those that don't know, he also was in Tina Turner's band for the longest time. And he
Yeah,
was
right.
also in a movie called Tap with Gregory Hines, where Gregory Hines is a tap dancer and he creates these speaker, like speaker infused like, wireless tap shoes so he can tap outside of the club and like create music with it. And it's a wild movie. Tap is
Do you recommend it?
I do recommend it.
Okay.
It's not that great, but it's got some great moments. And then Tim Capello being in it as an actor, you're like, okay, I can dig this. And fun fact, the original version of I Still Believe is by a band called The Calling, and The Calling has a song in the Real Genius soundtrack. When the Walls Come Down, I think is that what it's called? Yeah. Anyways,
Sure.
so I Still Believe is actually a cover, and
I did not know that. That's pretty interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's one of those scenes. It's like the movie wouldn't be the same without it. But if you tried to pitch that today, it'd be like, why do we need that? But I love that. That's like, there's so many, I think, unnecessary moments like that. Um, it's like because I grew up going to either Outer Banks or Virginia Beach, and the Virginia Beach Boulevard to me is like that area where they're watching him play sax and he meets Star for the first time. It's like
Yeah.
that's so like a trashy beach area.
Yeah, Santa Cruz, for those that don't know, I mean, it's Santa Carla in the movie, but Santa Cruz here in California. Not your cleanest beach, cleaner than Santa Monica where I'm at, but definitely, and we've had music on the pier, but they have music on the sand. I remember seeing Pat Benatar there, uh, you know, rocking out and whatnot. But
Wow.
the beach there, yeah, these moments again, it's the nostalgic moments in your mind. You go, oh my God, it was such a glorious time. And you're like, no, it was dirty. People were smelly. It was sweaty. And then there were some fun moments too. It's all
Right.
intermixed. So I'm going to pivot slightly. And I made Reeve watch a movie to coincide with the upcoming interview we have with an actor named Don Michael Paul. For those that don't know, Don Michael Paul is a writer, director, but he was an actor in the 80s for a really long time, 80s and 90s. And he did movies like behind me, there's a poster called Rich Girl, musical, which is not available yet, streaming or digital anywhere, but it will be hopefully. But he was this hunky boy, and he did a lot of like leading man parts. And then people were like, well, what happened to him? Well, he's going to tell that whole story in that episode, which is great, why he transitioned to behind the camera. But I made Reeve watch a movie called Winners Take All from 1987. And it is a supercross movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. All the top riders are here. David Bailey, Ricky Johnson, Ron Glover.
Supercross, the ultimate test for riders and machines. A dirt track battleground that separates the men from the boys, but never from the girls.
Are we a team? We ever not?
What are you doing there with your friends? These are my teammates.
Look, the only thing that Billy Robinson's got over you is technique. That is it.
At Carlsbad.
Hey, buddy.
Now, only the top three riders in this
It's like old times, Robinson. Still gotta have it all.
race. The whole shot. He is right behind the leaders. Ron
Some riders will do just about anything to win. On the track or off.
You know, some riders are afraid of losing and others are afraid of winning. Which one are you?
The Dallas World Championship Supercross. The riders, the absolute Ironmen of Supercross. Ricky Johnson, David Bailey, Bad Billy Robinson, AJ.
You race to win, whatever the cost. You gotta be tough. You gotta be smart. And you gotta be fast. Whatever the game, whatever the rules, you play to win. Only winning counts in this dirt track brawl because winners take all. The hottest racing movie of the year.
I'm curious, Reeve, you're from Virginia, you're from back east. Was Supercross a thing for you back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, I never took part in it, but I mean, my family and we have like dirt bikes. We ride. My brother is a big, I think he's a Ken Roxon fan is the name of the racer he follows.
Okay.
But yeah, my dad watched it. My brother watched it. It's funny. I told my girlfriend about it. She was like, "I'd never heard of motocross." I'm like, you've never heard of motocross? That's crazy."
Right.
But it's
I think that's why that movie didn't do well because
that's what she was saying, and I was like, well, I was wondering if there was any other kind of sports or like thing that people weren't as interested in. And the closest I got was like Karate Kid.
well, the 80s were prime for sport movies. We've dedicated many episodes to movies like Karate Kid, but also American Flyers, which is a bicycle movie, Rad, which is a BMX biking movie. There's NASCAR movies like Days of Thunder, clearly, which they're
Yes.
apparently making a sequel to, which I'm very excited about.
I am too, yeah.
But sport movies are synonymous. Of course, North Shore, before anyone jumps out of the car right now and be like, wait, you don't mention the movie that kind of started this whole podcast. North Shore, obviously, which is a surfing movie. There's so many, but there haven't been, I think there's only one motocross movie from the 80s, and this is it. Has a very strong cult following. Like you mentioned, winners take all to people who've seen it. And like you said, your dad and your brother saw it. It is one of those films. Again, it's not perfect. It's a little too long at times, but it's a wild movie. For those that haven't seen this movie, before I get your thoughts on it, It's about a dude who's making it in motocross. He's a big deal, and he comes back to his hometown, and he's got his manager there who's a slime ball, and I want to talk about that guy in a minute because turns out that guy is kind of a big deal. And he links up with his buddies in town, and the one buddy, Rick Mellon, is kind of like the hopeful that never made it. He's the guy who could have been but never did, and they have like a crossing basically where suddenly Rick's girlfriend is with his buddy now, and Rick decides to get into motocross with the help of another lovely lady who's also a biker. So there's this feminist side to it too, where women empowerment, like, don't tell me a woman can't ride a motorcycle and kick ass too in the 80s, which was a big deal back then. Now it's just commonplace. And the kind of cliche thing goes on where the guy has a coming of age, like he's like, I got to be a better person because he's kind of a jerk. Not kind of, but he just straight up is. And you have a big race at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but it's not what you expect because oftentimes people go, oh, the big race and the movie's over. Not exactly. This movie takes a weird turn a la Battle Royal. There's like some wrestling punching involved. And all sorts of crazy stuff happens. That being said, I made Reeve watch it. You watched it with your girlfriend, you said?
I did.
And I'm
Yes.
sorry, give her my condolences if she didn't like it. But what'd you think of Winners Take All?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I also had her watch Cocktail, and she was like, "Don't ever make me watch a movie ever again."
Oh God, I
And,
know this. My wife said the same thing when I made her watch The Warriors, and she fell asleep, and she's like,
oh,
"That's your
really?
favorite movie?" Yeah, and I'm like, "No, but it's great. It's okay."
Yeah, it's. I think unless you have like a strong love of that style of movie, then you can like almost subconsciously forgive a lot of other things that are happening, then you probably aren't going to like it. But
I think there needs to be, by the way, in relationships, it's okay to like different things. You have to have your things, and your partner can have their things.
totally, which is why I sleep on the couch every night.
Ah, there you go.
No, we watched the movie, and I honestly, to me, it reminded me of a good cross, like you mentioned, Days of Thunder and Footloose kind of combined.
Oh yeah, nice connection.
Yeah, it was so my dad's from an area in Virginia called Farmville, and it reminded me a lot of that old school kind of like the businesses before a lot of the corporate businesses came in to small towns. And I love the look of that. It's kind of like you still see the old there's a lot of the old Coke drinks, not the bottles, but the cups,
Yeah,
the paper cups that you saw at like old school diners and stuff. And I
yeah,
love
me
them.
too.
Such a great aesthetic. And so I really like the movie. I think it's funny because we both were like, sometimes I was like, pick a plot point. Like where there's so many like things that kind of went unanswered for me, but for the majority of it, I was like, man, this makes me want to go get a bike out again.
Totally.
Like I really liked it. I wish that the main guy, for the people who are going to listen, I won't spoil a lot of it, or I guess I won't spoil any of it, but I will say that I was a little disappointed that the two guys didn't. I was mostly surprised that the good kind of, I guess, good hometown hero kind of guy still didn't hate his best friend at the end.
Yeah, so his best friend is Bad Boy Billy, and he does some downheart, pretty cutthroat things in this film.
Yeah.
And Rick is kind of a little too forgiving. I agree.
Yeah, he's about as forgiving as when a friend gets punched in the face in the movie and he's like, "Are we good?" He's like, "Yeah, we're good, man. As long as you said I'm sorry." You're like,
Right.
"This happened yesterday, dude."
By the way, his two buddies are Peter DeLuise, who was on the TV show 21 Jump Street for the
Yeah.
entire run, and Courtney Gaines, who I'm sure if you haven't seen Can't Buy Me Love, he's the buddy to Patrick Dempsey in Can't Buy Me Love. He's also in Colors and Children of the Corn. There's a connection to that. And he's like the redheaded buddy all the time. He's the guy in Can't Buy Me Love where Patrick Dempsey puts a burning pile of crap on his doorstep and he stomps on it and his friends all laugh. His cool friends now laugh. That moment was heartbreaking because I'm just like, you would never do that to a friend.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
other connection with Can't Buy Me Love, Gerardo is in Can't Buy Me Love, and he's also in this. And Gerardo was known for a song called Rico Suave back in the day.
Okay.
Gerardo is kind of one of the villains in this too. He's one of the main villains. Anyways, I will let you continue.
No, you're good. It's funny. I wonder if it's the person I'm wondering who kind of got a weird ending. There's
Yeah,
someone
he goes over a hill and gets.
literally a cliffhanger, and
Mhm.
he's just looking down over like a rock quarry, basically area. It's a drop that would kill anybody, and they're just like you just from that point on, you just see the three bikes up in the air, and it's just the freeze frame, and it's just like everything's all right, guys. Except that one guy who's probably gonna die.
Yeah. Well, that was the 80s, like
Exactly.
literally thinks someone will get physically injured and you're like, yeah, but we're okay, so let's keep going.
Yeah, it's
Whatever.
that's
Who
true.
cares? It's directed by Fritz Kirsch, and Fritz Kirsch directed Children of the Corn, but he also directed a movie, and I want you to put this on your list, and I think your girlfriend might like this. It's called Tough Turf, Tuff
With
Turf.
James Spader.
Yes, with James
Yeah,
Spader.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
you've
have
seen
seen
it.
it.
Well,
Yeah,
look at you.
yeah,
That's why you're on our show.
yeah. No, Tough Turf's a good one. I think I watched that. I did like a James Spader and Robert Downey Jr. Kind of just going through their catalog, and it was that one, Less Than Zero.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're both in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say put the New Kids on your list if you want a kind of gritty, gross version of James Spader.
Okay.
He plays a southern white trash guy in Florida who terrorizes new kids in town. One of the new kids is Lori Loughlin from Rad, obviously, in Full House, and was, had some interesting run-ins with the law not that long ago.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll check that one out for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, New Kids is great. John Philbin. It's directed by Sean Cunningham, who did all the Friday the 13th movies, and John Philbin is in it. For those that don't know, besides being in Children of the Corn, he's Turtle in North Shore. Um, North Shore is a great 80s movie. So
I
much
need to
fun. If
watch that
you,
one too.
oh,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, you got to
I
watch
haven't
that
seen that
one.
one. Yeah.
A great soundtrack too. But yeah, there are some interesting scenes in this film. Uh, at first I was like, oh, I'm going to show my son Bodhi. And then there's like a three-way that happens towards the tail end of the movie. I'm like, that was unexpected.
And are they twins?
I believe so.
Okay. So I just want to make sure
They
because
don't show anything. It's okay. They don't show anything, but
they don't. And then that three-way ends up becoming like, hey, my buddy's here. Come
yeah,
get some
wait,
of this.
what? What's going on right now?
Yeah.
Winners take all. Winners take all, bro. Winners take all.
Apparently, yeah. That was one of the scenes I was like, that's interesting.
I was there. There's an actor in this. He plays the scummy manager, Frank Bushing. His name's Paul Hampton, and I'm like, this guy seems like he should be a big deal. He never takes his sunglasses off the whole time. I'm like, who is this guy? So I looked him up. He wrote songs with Burt Bacharach and Hal David, like "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head"
Uh,
type of stuff. He's worked with Merle Haggard and Bette Midler and Sammy Hagar, Sammy Davis Jr., Elvis Presley, like Ricky Nelson. So when you're talking
wow.
about wanting to work with people in Nashville, you know, projecting 40, 50 years down the road, because this guy looks like he's probably in his 50s, even though he's probably in his 40s, but everybody in the 80s looked like they were in their 50s or 60s, He was like a rock and roll singer and producer.
I had no idea. I just
Me
assumed
too.
he looked like Ric Flair when I saw him in the movie.
They
Um,
did.
but I had no idea that he had done all that. I honestly, I thought he was one of him and the main girl
Yes.
were two of my favorite
Judy.
actors in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Judy, Kathleen York. She's working to this day. She's great in it. She's really cool.
She is. I like how they didn't make her. Sometimes when there's like a female character who is like trying to prove that she's one of the boys or is just as smart, sometimes that character can come off as a little, come on, why do they have to make it seem like she always carries a wrench in her back pocket
Right.
kind of thing? But like, they didn't overdo it, and I like that. It's kind of it kind of reminded me of little like Some Kind of Wonderful with
Oh, big time.
yeah, with the main girl, not the main girl, not
Oh, Mary Stuart Masterson. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Her role in that, where she's like the best friend that also is just casually a mechanic, is I thought they did a really good job, like not overplaying, like we're trying to oversell the fact that she's also a girl. Yeah,
Right. I know. And that is such a cliche thing. I agree. I think this movie actually does a really good job of representing the main female lead as someone who like it's not cliche.
right.
The other woman, the other girl in the movie, because I think she's a teenager, Peggy, she is definitely cliche. And but you need someone like that in this. And but like from the get-go, maybe 5 minutes in the movie, you're like, whoa, Rick's girlfriend already is leaving him for Bad Boy Billy, like immediately. Yeah, guys, that does happen even in the 2025s, I guess. So,
Yep.
but yeah, there's so many. This is a fun movie that I think people should check out. I put links to this movie in the show notes. People can watch it. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have a soundtrack that typically we talk about on the show. You know, typically on our shows we cover the soundtrack, and you mentioned Some Kind of Wonderful. I would love to have you back on down the road when your album comes out, and then we can talk about Some Kind of Wonderful, tie it into that, you know?
Definitely. No, I'd love that. Is it I Go Crazy by is it the Lulus?
Yep. Yep.
That the song that was, I don't know if it was in the movie, but it was in the trailer for the movie.
It's in the trailer. Yeah.
Okay, so I love that song. I started to write music just from hearing that song. But what are some of the bigger ones from that movie as well?
Well, my favorite song is "Beat So Lonely" by oh gosh, what's his first name? Sexton. It's that's the song that's playing when Eric Stoltz's character goes to Craig Sheffer's house and to crash the party gets crashed, right? And that song's playing in the background. That song's not on the soundtrack. So,
oh wow,
the physical soundtrack, which is really, really frustrating. But that's one of my favorites from that movie. It's got a eclectic group of songs on the soundtrack itself. That's one definitely we could dig a little bit deeper into because it's a John Hughes movie technically, and there's a lot of layers to it.
Actually, my favorite John Hughes. Anything?
Same. Yeah, and Craig Sheffer is one of my favorite hunky boys from the 80s. Like he played a good guy, and That Was Then, This Is Now. That's a movie you should put on your list. That Was Then, This Is Now. That's a great Emilio Estevez, Craig Sheffer, based on an S.E. Hinton book. Yeah, and just so everyone knows, it's Charlie Sexton before people go, well, you didn't know that guy from the thing. Yeah, That Was Then, This Is Now. We've covered a little bit on the show. Yeah, down the road, maybe if you want to look at Reeve's going to be like my co-host for the next 5-6 episodes from $2 late fee.
I'm here for it.
Okay. So anyways, winners take all. Unfortunately, the soundtrack is really not there, but you could put it up there with other sport movies. I love that there's a tie-in. Does your dad like this movie, Winners Take All, and your brother?
So I might have misspoke. He hadn't seen the movie. I was saying that they're into motocross.
They're into motocross. Okay.
Yeah. So they hadn't seen the movie. I did recommend it to him. I called him, or I texted him after I was watching it. I was just letting him know because him and my brother had just watched. He loves Days of Thunder, but he just first got my brother to just watch Days of Thunder as well, and they were both kind of geeking out over that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you guys got to watch Winners Take All now. I was like, it's not what Days of Thunder is to me, but it's a good movie, and I need more movies like that where I don't have to think too hard to watch it.
Well, this doesn't take too many brain cells to enjoy, but
yeah, exactly.
But and I will say the third act is surprising for people, and I guarantee you a lot of people haven't seen this movie. It's one of those under the radar type films.
I believe it. Not because of it was a bad production or anything like that. No. I went on. It was I think it only had 200,000 views on the movie on YouTube.
Yeah, it's available on DVD on Amazon, but unfortunately, I did talk to Don Michael Paul about it. He talked briefly about his experience making the movie because the actual motocross event that they shot at was a legit real motocross event in Dallas.
So yeah.
Yeah. You did mention Ric Flair, though. Are you a wrestling fan by chance?
I'm not a wrestling fan. I only know like the few superstars.
Okay.
But I mean, he walked in and I was like, is that Ric Flair?
a little bit like Will Ferrell in Eastbound and Down as well.
That's yeah, exactly. With that that weird accent he's got. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. Okay, so I'm going to hit you with a few fun facts from 1987, August of 87, when this movie came out. Because you mentioned this guy earlier, and it brought up a really cool album. In August of 87, John Mellencamp's Lonesome Jubilee came out.
Since the brilliant Scarecrow album and tour, John Cougar Mellencamp has progressed to his greatest album yet, The Lonesome Jubilee. Including the hits Paper and Fire, The Real Life, Cherry Bomb, Hard Times, and check it out. Now Mellencamp is coming back live. Get ready to be part of the Lonesome Jubilee. Book your tickets at the usual outlets now.
Great album. Had 4 big singles on it: Paper and Fire, Cherry Bomb, Check It Out, and apparently this one charted too, but Rudy Toot Toot. But I don't typically think of Rudy Toot Toot when I think of John Mellencamp. Are you a fan of Paper and Fire or Cherry Bomb or Check It Out?
Cherry Bomb for sure. Check It Out. I think I found Check It Out through it was on a soundtrack to one of my shows. Not Severance. There's the Billions. I don't know if you've ever seen
Oh
Billions.
yeah, yeah, cool.
Check It Out was on that. I didn't know if it was him or Springsteen at first singing it. But it's I love both those songs. Yeah.
Yeah, this is when John Mellencamp was credited as John Cougar Mellencamp.
Yep.
He's gone through quite a few name changes. He went from Johnny Cougar to John Cougar to Johnny Cougar Mellencamp. Sorry, John Cougar Mellencamp, and then just John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you a fun story. I've mentioned it before. Well, maybe not a fun story, kind of heartbreaking. He was playing a show in Oakland back in the 80s, early 80s. We're talking like, I don't know, 81 or 82. And he's playing at the Kaiser Auditorium, which is notorious for having a bunch of biker dudes there. And he opened for Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. And Rainbow is a metal band. And this guy, Johnny Cougar, comes out. And he comes out to I Need a Lover That Won't Drive Me Crazy, which has like a 2-minute intro or 3-minute intro. It's just there, 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 there. And the crowd's getting restless. They're like, what is going on? Where's the guest about? He's not singing. What's going on? Johnny Cougar comes out and he's shaking his butt in his tight jeans, and the crowd suddenly just starts booing the hell out of him.
Oh, wow.
And he goes and starts singing, I need a lover that won't. And then people are like, nope, 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 get out. We want Rainbow. And they start chanting Rainbow. They start throwing stuff at him. And these are bikers. Like if you've ever seen the movie Gimme Shelter, the documentary.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the Hells Angels are up in the Bay Area. Right.
Uh-huh.
And he gets up to the microphone and he says, I'm never coming back to this effing town. And he drops the mic and he walks off.
Wow. I think of him as such a badass guy.
Right.
That,
right.
Like, I would be like, nowadays, that he would not be, I think he would be considered like, I mean, I don't know what you would technically say that he is, because he kind of goes through a couple different periods genre wise, but like, I mean, he's rock.
He's rock. Yeah. He's rock and definitely pop roots, there's elements to his music that are definitely pop, and he's never faltered from kind of who he is, even his later stuff, Human Wheels, which I think is a great record. It came out in the 90s. Great album. Anyways, it just shows you though that as an artist, you come out and you present yourself one way. He could have just turned tight tail and ran and never come back, but he stuck it out. And he is a legend. I don't know if he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he's definitely, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame artist.
Oh, totally. It's funny. He's one of the examples that I use. It's him, Don Henley, Tom Petty, and Bruce Springsteen. Those four guys could have easily been considered country if they would have come out in the 2000s. And
agreed.
But that's just because country music was so influenced by the people who grew up listening to 80s pop, 80s rock. But it's so funny that like nowadays when I hear people are like, oh, this sounds too country. When I put out Back to the Future, some people are like, this sounds too country. I'm like, what? It kind of pissed me off at first. I was like, I just got away from doing country. Like, what are you hearing that I'm not? And then I was like, you know what? Tom Petty and Don Henley are two guys, like I think one's from Texas, one's from Florida. Like they both have a little bit of that southernness in their voice that just comes out, but they're not country. So right. I'm okay not being just 100% one thing. But I think artists like Mellencamp are a good example of that too, where it's like, yeah, they could have easily been like a Zach Bryan today.
Right. I agree. And look, Matthew McConaughey, one night had the cops pounding on his door because he was naked playing bongos, smoking weed, listening to John Mellencamp. I think the same thing is going to happen to you. It could be Ryan Gosling, naked playing bongos, listening to Back to the Future. So anything's possible.
I'll take it. Hey, if either him or McConaughey, both of those are two heroes of mine. So
me too. I think, all right. So, I will hit you with one more fun fact. 87 was a really good year for video games, arcade games, and home consoles. A lot of great games came out during this time. But in August of 87, Legend of Zelda came out for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Did you see the latest Nintendo newsletter?
Whoa, nice graphics. I'd like to get my hands on that game.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's the Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Levers, too. But with your help, our hero pulls through. Yeah, go Link, yeah, get Zelda.
Awesome.
Intense.
The Nintendo Entertainment System. Your parents help you hook it up. The Legend of Zelda sold separate.
I didn't grow up playing video games, other than we had like a little console that plugged into the TV, and now I go to arcades in Nashville because of this. The only two games that I remember ever playing, and this fits perfectly with the brand that I'm trying to build.
Yeah, please.
Are Pac-Man and Galaga. And Galaga is my favorite game of all time, but
Cool.
my parents never let me really get into video games too much when I was younger. So I was aware of Zelda, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I'd go over to friends' houses, they'd have the game, and I'd be like, oh man, I get to play. And then I go home and I'm like, well, I don't have this anymore. So that was fun. I didn't know it came out so early. I thought that was more of a 90s thing. Okay.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was surprised to see that. It came out in 87, but also on the arcade tip, the original Street Fighter came out in 87 for
Oh, wow.
the arcade.
Okay. That makes sense.
And yeah, and it's not a bad thing. Who knows? Maybe you would not have been as creative as you are now.
Honestly, looking back at all the things that like I would have taken that I would have wished they would have let me do, I'm like, you know what? I'm so happy that I probably spent more time outside and
totally
and doing stuff like that. Not like a cliche like, yeah, my parents made me go outside. They hit me with a branch. I feel like, no, my parents were pretty great. But
that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm not jealous of that at all. No, I'm kidding. Go back to previous episodes. You can listen to all my trauma. No, and then I'm now flipping the script with my son. Play all the games you want, do whatever you want. It's okay. No, but Reeve, like to wrap this up, you are clearly rooted in the 80s nostalgia in the sense that you embody the spirit of what I love about the 80s. Creative, original, and fun. And that's, when people say, what is it about the 80s you love? I say that was the peak time for creativity for me, like, as far as seeing things that were just original and fresh. Your music has that. And to have you on the show and talk about what you're doing now, what you're doing in the future is awesome. But you are a solid, really cool guy. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Zach. Likewise, man. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'd love to come back and talk more about movies for sure. I've got no shortage of movie time to geek out. I probably bore my girlfriend a little bit with the amount of movie stuff, but I originally wanted to be a director when I was younger, so I love getting to be in, having a hand in all the music video stuff now, because I still get to act like taking the parts I love about making movies and music at the same time. So no, but thank you so much for having me on here. It's been awesome.
Guaranteed you are back on $2 late fee in the very near future, because this was a really big treat. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, bud. I will talk to you soon, and have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Zach. You too.
Right, thanks. Bye.
Listen, I just wanted to say goodbye and remind you that the good guys always win, even in the 80s.